What's going on, folks? Another episode of Just My Opinion with Ryan, and a whole lot to get into. Goodness gracious. So before we get into that, if this is your first time here, please hit that like and subscribe button. For those who keep coming back, I truly appreciate it. Let's just get into it, man. Whole lot to get into, a whole lot of layers to get into with this most recent episode of P-Valley. I'm gonna start off with this, right? If you personally if you personally know any of the writers from P-Valley, please check on them and give them a hug, because goodness, this was a very intense episode. Golly. So let's start off with how the show began. Of course, you see Big Bone and Diamond, they're actually getting it in. And the whole time he's fantasizing about Keyshawn. So that was wild. I want to know where that storyline goes. Maybe he feels like that's his true love. But that was a pretty in-depth scene. And to no surprise, for those who may not be aware, Tyler Lepley, who plays Diamond, and Miracle Watts, who plays Big Bone, they're a real life couple. They're an actual couple in real life. So, I mean, of course, there have been a lot of intense sex scenes. But with me knowing that information, I felt like this one was kind of a little bit more, somehow a little bit more intense than the others. And maybe that's just because I know that they're a couple in real life. But, so that was interesting. Diamond is still on his, voodoo and, good karma type of kick, and I don't know, man. I have a bad feeling that some way, somehow, I don't know, Miracle Watts, Big Bone is going to steal that ring from the highly notorious and sacred Montavious ring. So that's just a setup for some disaster shit right there. One thing for sure, everyone seems to understand the assignment when it comes to their acting roles with P-Valley. But I especially want to give special recognition to J. Alphonse Nicholson as Lil Murda. I just feel like he has to play so many different layers with the Uncle Murda character. He has to be the hardened, gangster rapper. He's secretly in love with with Clifford. He has to play kind of like on the fence, this tough guy / personal friend when it comes to his relationship with Teak. And of course, we'll get into that. Those two actors in that scene really killed it, man. I don't know, of course, like the Oscars and stuff like that, I feel like they still, may not give, certain black shows the recognition, or movies, shows or movies the recognition that they deserve. But damn it, man. But there has to be some type of award given to J. Alphonse Nicholson and John Clarence Stewart, because the role that they did as Big Teak and Lil Murda was just amazing. And I feel like the final scene, which I'm sure took everyone by surprise, that final scene with Teak and Murda, like that was intense, man. That daggone the one thing that kind of took me by storm, during that dialogue was, and I'm paraphrasing, by the way, but the one part where Murda is telling Teak, like, hey man, you ain't been the same since you came out of that hole, or and Teak says something to the effect of, I was in the hole well before then, something to that effect. And then of course he's going back to his childhood where, we saw him go back to his childhood where he's in the closet and he's hearing his siblings scream as they get murdered by their mom. Like that's some traumatic shit, and that's something that he has been battling ever since. So he felt like, he's been in a hole ever since. Or I feel like the time that he was in the hole in prison, it probably was bringing him back to that place. So he's in that hole in the prison, which reminds him of the time he was in the closet. And I'm sure that can weigh heavily on a person like that. And another thing about Big Teak, I want to say, just going back with that whole his light is he doesn't see any more light and stuff like that. I really felt like that was also synonymous with, like, you know, him coming out of prison and then seeing unarmed black men get killed, and, you know, him just having that whole feeling of feeling like the world doesn't want, you know, black people to coexist, you know, and that was heavy, you know. So I really feel like him coming from prison, and I guess from his perspective, not necessarily seeing any type of progress from his perspective again, I really feel like that also played a factor in his depression and, you know, his, you know, mental state, mental health. I just really felt like overall, like, this episode really got the message across when it comes to how gripping depression can be, and you know, just how, if your mental health isn't right, how it can really be crippling, man. Just think about this, right? Like, okay, you get out of prison, and the moment you get out of prison, your homeboy has a job for you to go on tour as his personal, you know, bodyguard or security. So, like most felons who get out of prison, you know, Teak didn't have to struggle doing a job search, you know. Of course, there was some drama on the tour, but outside of that, y'all come back home from tour, your homeboy surprises you with a brand new car, further welcoming you home. You hear your homeboy's music on the radio, and, you know, being that you would be on his payroll, you got to be like, oh, me and Murda, we out of here. You know, he's on his way up. I'm his right-hand man. We about to be out of here. So my point is, to have all these good things happen to Teak as he's coming out of prison, but, you know, he still has that trauma that just has a crippling effect, that has this hold on him. That speaks volumes to me, man. It's like, you know, you got all these good things going for you, yet, you know, as he said in the car, his light is dark. He can't see any more light, man. Like, you know, his light is gone, you know. And just from the personal aspect, when I used to read, you know, articles about celebrities killing themselves or contemplating suicide and stuff like that, from the outside looking in, you know, I would have this mindset of like, dang, why would this person feel like committing suicide? This person has millions of dollars. He has the fame. He has, you know, all these luxurious material things. You know, why would someone in that position commit suicide? And it's, you know, it's an eye-opening thing. It could be something deep, dark, and personal that we'll just never know. It just, as I say, it just goes to show how your mental health can really affect you if you don't have that in check. So that was just a shock, definitely a shock. But to make it like on a somewhat of a lighter note, you know, as my wife and I were watching this episode, and Teak and Murda are talking at the restaurant, you know, the part where Murda says something to the effect of, you know, he's describing Clifford to Teak, and it's like, yo, man, it's like going to the fair once a year and eating funnel cake, you know. And he had a few other things, but that's the one that stuck out to me the most. My wife actually looked at me and was like, damn, I hope you feel that way about me. And so just give me your opinion if you thought that was deep. I thought that was kind of a funny comparison, you know, going to a funnel, you know, fair once a week to eat once a year to eat funnel cake. But yeah, man, so that was just a lot, man. I once again, I do applaud Katoria Hall and just the entire team at P-Valley. They're putting a lot of issues in your face. I feel like it's one of those things to where, yes, the initial draw clearly is the whole strip club scene, right? But it's like, okay, now that we got your attention, we're going to open you up to other serious issues. You know, the strip club brings you in, but now that we got your attention, let's talk about domestic violence, of course, you know, with Keyshawn and Derek. Let's talk about, you know, men not being comfortable in their sexuality, clearly with Uncle Murda. Let's talk about, depression and your mental health. You got Teak. So I commend just that type of effort, when it comes to that. Like I said, we're going to bring you in with the whole strip club vibe and the strip club, this and the third. But once again, now that we got your attention, let's talk about some real issues, man. So I applaud them for that, man. That was amazing. And just on a more lighter note, like I said, if you don't get it, but now I may not go in chronological order, but I do like to just tackle the storylines. Of course, we have the good old, I'll do admit when I was wrong. I was clearly wrong. I was thinking it was going to be some type of tricking Mercedes into a throuple. Yeah, I was way off on that, and I'll own up to that. But we clearly have, which I thought was stupid. Something about these three, just the threesome just wasn't meant to be. The first time the threesome gets interrupted with a very important situation with Tarika, Mercedes' daughter. And now this time around, they getting it in. There's no more distraction. I'm like, okay, they about to solidify this throuple thing, I guess, in this threesome that's going to be finished to completion. But nope, Coach actually, he senses this, sexual chemistry between Pharah and Mercedes that is just too strong to go unnoticed. He gets in his feelings and he's like, oh, I know y'all been having sex behind my back. Sponsorship is off. Y'all don't need, we canceling this whole situation. No more Mercedes experience. And I thought it was telling, man. Pharah actually was, had to let him know, like, we've been married for 19 years and you had no idea that I like women too. It's like, so once again, as I said before, we bring you in with the strip club thing, but we're going to talk about deeper issues. It's like you're married for damn near 20 years and you really don't know your partner. You really don't know that your wife is bisexual, so I thought that was wild. And of course, as you see at the beginning of the video, I couldn't help it. I love seeing some of the memes and these funny tweets going around. And yeah, man, that was definitely hilarious. But no, man, I think that situation is salvageable. I feel like if Coach gets out of his feelings, he could be like, all right, look, I was in my feelings about y'all having sex behind my back. And of course, it's wrong. I'll give you that. Despite whatever marriage arrangement they had in the open, the fact that Pharah was creeping behind the fact that Pharah was creeping behind her husband's back, I'm not going to say that's right, but that could be salvageable. It's just a matter of like, hey man, look, I know y'all been having sex behind my back, but just include your boy next time. That's all I'm asking. Just include the coach next time. That's all I'm asking. So I thought that could have been handled in a much a better way. And staying with the Mercedes storyline, we see that's over. But on a more serious note, unfortunately, it does seem like history is repeating itself as we see, as we notice that Tarika is pregnant. So just the way Mercedes got pregnant when she was young, apparently now Tarika is pregnant as well. So that's just a whole new situation we're going to get into. Not sure if how they're going to handle that. I'm sure this was clearly recorded before the Roe versus Wade decision. So I'm just trying to see how they're going to play that out. Now the big decision is, is Tarika and Mercedes want to keep the baby? Do they want to abort? That's just a whole different thing right there, seeing how that's going to go down. I think it was kind of like a serious storyline, but maybe, with all the other things going on, this was definitely lower on the totem pole. But we still see that Autumn Night, aka Hayley, whatever we calling her, she coming through with her Jessica Rabbit outfit on, trying to shake things up with, in terms of Andre and what's the guy's name? I keep forgetting. The dude who's sponsoring Andre. I think his name is Colin. It's something with a C. But you see, she's here to shake things up, trying to get what she's worth. And long story short, because I know there's a lot to get into with this episode, we see that she's rubbing elbows with the right people, it comes to find out. And it seems like she's getting a few steps closer to getting what P-Valley is really worth. She's, made friends with the outspoken drunk white lady. And the drunk white lady is like, hey, we might could get you more than 10 million or whatever she's saying. So, hey, for what it's worth, Hayley, aka Autumn Night or Autumn Nightmare, as Clifford would call her, she's making moves. Despite how anyone at the Pank feels about it, she's making moves. And I am gonna go with a hot take, right? Before I close this video out. Yes, I was wrong about the throuple, but I'm gonna go with another prediction, aka hot take. I do think that, unfortunately, especially with how jarring some of these messages have been so far from P-Valley, I predict that Keyshawn will be killed off as a result of domestic violence. We definitely see that she tried to drive away with her kids. Derek took the battery out the damn car. She contemplated shooting him. I feel like the decision to not shoot him is going to come back to haunt her. And once again, I feel like she could have shot him. Who knows? Maybe called Diamond or somebody from the Pink to see if they could help clean up the murder scene or something. But I do feel like those two things are like writing on the wall. So the fact that she can't even go anywhere now. Battery's out the damn car, so she can't run away. And the fact that she decided at the last minute to not follow through with shooting Derek, I think that's going to haunt her. So once again, that's my hot take, aka prediction. I feel like maybe somewhere in the season finale, I feel like she dies as a result of domestic violence. So the writers and Katori Hall can let you know how dangerous domestic violence can be, especially when you feel like you have no support system. I feel like that's also important to highlight. We saw on that backstory with the White Knight episode, she went to her stepmom and her dad, and she got turned away, the first sign of domestic abuse. And I feel like because people ain't rocking with her at the Pink anymore, because she kind of turned on Diamond, I feel like Keyshawn feels like she has no support system at the Pink as well. And the only other thing I'll end with is this. Clifford is going to have to put Toy in the ground if Clifford's if Ernestine, Clifford's, I think is like grandmother or aunt, if Ernestine goes down because she caught Culver from Toy's trifling ass, yeah, Clifford got to put her in the ground. And speaking of Clifford, I also thought it was very powerful scene at the very, very last, cut is when, Murda is going to the house, approaching Clifford and letting Clifford know that he's not okay. Again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but we bring you in with the whole strip club thing, but we're going to talk about deeper issues. The fact that Murda is vulnerable enough to come to Clifford and be like, man, I am not okay. And they just embracing that hug, and he has that moment to just take off this macho persona that he's putting on for the public and just cry. Letting, his lover know I am not okay, and showing that vulnerability, I thought was just a icing on the cake in terms of how to end that great episode. I know this was quite a long video, but man, there was so many layers, so much to get to. And this is, once again, this is not even the finale. This is a very intense episode, and we're not even at the finale yet. So, love it or hate it, folks. Those are just my opinions. Thanks for watching. Peace.